And I'd like to call to order the Tuesday, August 22nd meeting of the Health and Ed Committee. Our first order of business is approval of minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Health Department. Ms. Garrett?
Yes, I'm bringing a guest.
Awesome. Who you got with you?
This is LaShawn Dixon, and I wanted to introduce her to all of you guys. Recently, with your support, we were able to reclass one of our positions to get an assistant public health director, and so that is, LaShawn has taken that position, and she was with us for 7 or 8 years at the health department, or has been with us at the health department for 7 or 8 years as a public health educator and working in our tender care program. So we're lucky to have her, and I wanted her to meet you guys and see what we do here.
Terrific.
Now we have two instead of one.
Yeah. And I have a little bit of a cold and cough. I see you have your cough
I do.
drops with
I'm
you
ready
too.
to go, yeah.
Yeah, so bear with me. My voice is going in and out. So I have included for you the reports for May, June, and July. And I think you can just go over them together jointly. In May, we started kind of ramping up for Zika and getting ready for the big summer months with that. We did some community training with community partners to teach them about the best ways in prevention of that. And started our back to school kind of clinics, getting ready for that, offering days of walk-in for school physicals and shots at both of our sites. That was kind of the May. In June, we have been very involved, and I've talked to you guys before about ACEs, which is a kind of a new medical term for adverse childhood experiences and how they affect health in your whole lifespan. So as a child, if you have adverse effects, it affects you during your entire lifespan. So one of the ways that we have discovered is trying to start intervention on these adverse childhood experiences, such as child abuse, or a parent in jail, or even divorce is considered an adverse childhood experience. So we work on intervention programs kind of targeting that and assessing children and through their parents, and figuring how we can intervene, because the less of these ACEs, we call them, that you have, the healthier you are in your whole lifespan with all things. With heart disease, the higher ACEs, the more likely you are to have a heart attack. The higher ACEs, the more likely you are to have cancer. We've seen these great correlation studies that have shown that. So one of our things we did in June was plan a train the trainer on ACEs. So we taught a lot of community members about ACEs, how to identify and what to do, and how to implement strategies in their different programs, whatever they might be doing, to work on this ACEs data. And it's one of the things we're going to start to collect for our community health needs assessment. So next year I'll be able to report what kind of ACEs do we have for our county, what are we looking at, what's the average number for our children, that kind of thing. So it's just kind of a new term. And
that being the improve, you'll start seeing
the statistical changes in it.
Well,
Right
the
at first,
improve,
yes,
your
yes,
sheet.
it would. We'd see some in improve, and we'd see some in promote, because we're going to do a lot of education and promoting about it and making sure people understand this correlation that happens between these two.
To whom is the parent reporting? Only if a parent comes to interacts with the health department.
Right.
In some circumstance, they would report or disclose or be assessed.
Right, that's exactly right. There's a tool that the nurse that sees them, the nutritionist that sees them, or
Sees the parent.
Yes, yeah, sees the parent, will do for the children. We're also doing this for parents to see what did they have as children, what were their risk factors. Do they report that they had sexual abuse or child abuse, and then what kind of health issues are they dealing with now in their future, in their current life. So it's really something we're doing with everything, but where we notice we can do the best improvement is to do early intervention, which you could hear that from everybody. You know, that's why we do the early intervention in school programs and all that, is because we know the earlier we get a hold of this and it's not simple. You know, sexual abuse is a huge problem in our society, and abuse in general. So trying to come up with interventions early on in prevention and recognizing even and reporting. You know, there's many different avenues or angles you could take it for.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's one of the most innovative things I've heard in a long time from a government program.
Yeah.
We're one of the first to actually be doing this in our state, is to really looking at ACEs and looking at the studies behind it to really figure out what we can do to get in front of the issue at hand.
I find it very exciting.
Can you give us an example of what you would do with a child? Let's say you identify that there's been a child that's been a victim of sexual abuse. Or you think for
Right.
whatever reason that they might be at risk. You were saying trying to get preventive. I just don't know how you prevent something like
Well,
that. you know?
exactly. So part of it, it's like trifold kind of thing. We've got to do a lot of education for recognizing, so that not only medical providers know what questions to ask, but they recognize red flags, you know, those kinds of things. But we also, when we're talking to them, we have to build a huge database of referral sources. There are some specialized counselors here in Rutherford County that work with children who have been sexually abused. So we would immediately refer to of course we would report to DCS and all the appropriate steps that you would do, but we would immediately refer to those specialized counselors that work with children who've been abused under certain ages. And we do have some that come, they're stationed in Nashville, but they come to Rutherford at least 2 days a week. And so we would set up appointments for that
And you
kind of
mentioned
thing.
that are school age. Do you coordinate with their counselor at school?
Oh, yes. We're very closely coordinated with the Coordinated School Health. They kind of are in, and they connect us with the counselors, the guidance counselors. They connect us with the nurse should we need to or whatever, but they're really the key for us to get in medically. In the county, we deal with the Coordinated School a lot, but also our nurse connection there, because you have a huge nurse base in the county schools. And then in the city, they have less nurses because they're a smaller unit. We coordinate more with the Coordinated School Health Director. But we have those ends to definitely get in there with the school and run interventions as well. We partner a lot with St. Thomas and their community health mobile unit, and getting services for, like, say one of the ACEs is the parent is in jail, and maybe grandma's taking care of the child, doesn't know about a PCP, doesn't know about all the things that are recommended now for a child, so we connect them up with, maybe can't get to our clinic, you know, they'll connect them up with the mobile clinic that goes to the school or goes to the community area where they are. So it's just a matter of really pulling together all the resources. We're part of this one team, one plan thing from the governor's office. We meet with this group of people, and it's got DCS people, and it's got police officers, and it's got just a plethora of community resources. And any child that's been identified as having a problem, this team comes together. Sometimes the children are out of the home already, so we're trying to figure out, can we get the child back to the home? Can we find a more stable home for the child? What can we do, and what resources can we bring to that committee? And so as the health department, we bring a couple of different, you know, avenues of services, home visits that we do, or in-house visits that they can come for with the pediatrician, that kind of thing. So just connecting people with services, and I think that one plan team is a good avenue. We're starting. They did one in each of the 3 major areas across Tennessee. What do they call that?
Grand divisions.
Grand divisions, thank you. The 3 grand divisions. I was like, I could see the divisions. But, and so we're the one for Middle Tennessee, and so we're just starting to pull that together. Matter of fact, the first meetings are just happening. But I think that's a really good idea of, you know, there's these babies that are being born with NAS, neonatal abstinence syndrome, being born addicted to drugs. And we're seeing that more and more and more. And like maybe they don't have an immediate need, but neurologically, as they develop and grow, they're going to have a lot of problems throughout their life cycle. So having a team work on it from all these different avenues, I think, is a smart plan too.
When you had your train the trainer, who were some of the folks that you invited? Like, who would attend that?
For the most part, the trainer, it was health educators from across the region who were at that training, and then also some individuals from Coordinated School Health and then UTTSU Extension. And so with the trainers, they're really trying to just more so give education so that they can start educating the public about it, because the public is not aware of what ACEs is.
Right.
Another acronym to throw out there with all the acronyms that we use. And so trying to educate them so they're letting the public know about it. But I do know that with Murfreesboro City Schools, with their Coordinated School Health, they actually received a grant. And so they actually have individuals inside of the school system that helps, so I think it's a 6-week curriculum that they have for students who identify with having a certain amount of ACEs. So whether if they have 10 ACEs, and then they have a curriculum that they go through with those kids that hits on those different areas that ACEs looks at and studies. And so that's one way that they're trying to help those individuals who may have dealt with issues that some things that they cannot really be prevented that have already happened to them, but helping them talk through it and helping them seek the counseling and seek the education that they need in order to hopefully prevail and not be one of the numbers in the statistics of saying that you have 10 ACEs, so you're going to have diabetes or you're going to have such and such. So they really worked with it, and this is something new that we're looking into getting involved in, and just excited to see what the future is going to hold for the ACEs, and especially with the trainers and what they're going to be able to put out to educate the communities about.
What's the score scale? 1 to
1 to 10.
1 to 10.
Mhm. Yeah, and 4 or more as a child is considered high risk for a chronic health condition in your life, lost years of life.
Is the
Pardon
juvenile
me.
justice system involved in any way? Our juvenile, they help me.
Yes, Lynn. Yes, I meet with Lynn, and we have several coordinations of programs with those children. We have
I think
a
ACEs would be in that
In that target area.
in that population.
We have not really looked at engaged them as much with the ACEs. We, of course, let them know about it, but that would be something that we could definitely look into, trying to, target that area, just target that particular population to see how we can better assist them as well, because I know that we do some work in the Juvenile Detention Center with some classes that we've been able to do over the past 2 or 3 years, which have proven to be a little bit successful, I can say, but hopefully we can look into doing some more things with ACEs with them.
And also with Judge Davenport, I would think, the courts.
Of course,
yeah.
Her magistrate, Judge McCullough, I could see those guys.
I'm thinking off the cuff now.
Yes.
It gets me in trouble. It gets you all in trouble. Our Rutherford County Television, how about doing a program on that, getting it publicized to the community through the television? I'm not good at marketing, but I'm trying to
help with
push it.
marketing. Yes.
Yeah, and Brian's always open
Yeah,
to having us. Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then you can explain it. A lot of people, and if the school system could come up with it when it's going to be played, maybe they could play it at night when they could watch it. I'm just thinking out loud now.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We'll talk
Yeah.
to
Awesome.
Mr. Robinson about it and see if that's something.
To
we can
social
do.
media and technology, that's what,
Yeah.
most of the world is starting to use now, and that they're going digital, so I think that's.
And I'm surprised that the parents will make their children sit and watch our programs for discipline sometime. I'm not too impressed.
That's why they cry when they see us.
And I'm just thinking out loud on that,
Yes, ma'am.
we need to market that
Definitely.
since it's new too.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Then you had July to show us.
Yes, and then July, getting really ramped up for back to school during July mostly. We do a lot of vaccinations, and we kind of cut back on a lot of other services we offer just to handle the influx of all the new kids coming to the community and all the kids who are getting to a certain age that need certain vaccinations to continue going to school. And I think we're doing a better job, both the schools and us, getting the word out. And it's not nearly as much of a, rush on that first week of school as it has been in years past. It's getting a little bit better. There's still so many new people coming to our community and so many new it's Tennessee has their own rules, so if they've come from another state, we have different rules for them to learn, but I think they're doing a good job. Everybody is trying to get the word out, and though we did still see the great influx of people needing birth certificates and people needing shot records and people needing vaccinations and back to school at both our sites, were very heavily inundated with that in July and the first week of August.
Any questions for Ms. Garrett?
I see where you had 2 on rabies.
Yes. So anytime we have any kind of contact with, human contact with rabies, then that is reported to us. It's a reportable thing. And we follow up the guidelines accordingly to that. And mostly it's handled by our state epidemiologist, who's a veterinarian. And he gives us advice, do they need the vaccination? Was this a real, and then there's steps that we follow as far as getting the animal tested, work closely with paws and that. So it's a whole detailed step process, but anytime that one is reported that had human contact, it goes on the report.
Okay.
Any other questions? I entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the report as presented, all 3 months.
Second?
All in favor?
Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That is exciting.
Again, yes, thank y'all for your support. We appreciate it.
It's a pleasure meeting all of you all.
Nice to meet you.
All right. You have anything on community care? I have a report on that. The report's on your iPad, I see. Is there anything of significance we want to mention about community care, or just everything that's contained in the report?
It's going pretty smooth right now. Oh,
They had a very good annual survey, which is always really good news.
That is good news.
yes, we've come up another star.
Terrific. All right. Have a chance to look at that report. Are there any questions on the community care report?
Motion to approve the report.
Good.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Ms. Jolly. Special projects. Anything you want to point out to us here? Any big
It's
changes?
been a while, so I can't remember what's in it. I think maybe Siegel High edition, Laverne Primary, Laverne Middle at page 5. And Roy Waldron edition 2 may be new to the report since the last time. But if you have any other questions, that's about all. I've just been paying bills.
I know it takes a little while to pay everything out. Where are we at on Rocky Fork Middle? Where's that one? And we usually keep it open for a while.
Since Laverne High School restrooms concession is at 17 cents or $17
Where are we at?
on 5 top.
It's 99.79% complete or spent. Right?
$17.
I thought that's what it really was.
Over $38, or is it $58 short on Smyrna, so we
Offset
gotta move that over and have the base sale come for $41 more.
Any questions for Ms. Jolly? I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the projects report, school building report.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay.
Very good. All right, thank you, Ms. Jolly. School board. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, we've got some amendments. The first one is Career and Technical Education Equipment Grant, and we were very fortunate that Rutherford County School System has been awarded $556,300.49 in Career and Technical Education Equipment Grant by the state of Tennessee. Grant provides funding for equipment for advanced manufacturing programs of study and health science programs of study. The grant will flow through the general purpose school budget, which needs to be amended, which is what we're going to ask you to do, is to amend the 17-18 general purpose school budget by the $556,301 from vocational equipment reviews account 46,640, and to increase expenditures for vocational equipment account 71,300-730 by $556,301 as presented. This came from a governor at a $15 million appropriation this year he placed in the budget, and it had to be used for advanced manufacturing or had to be used for health science in that area. So that was the two areas he targeted. So we could get $125,000, and the career and technical education person said, do we need to apply for more? I said, heck yes, let's apply and let's see. All I can do is say no. We can get $125,000 basically based on our numbers. But she applied. She's very good at writing grants, and so we were awarded almost all of what she asked for. What this will do is it will take the Siegel Advanced Manufacturing and change their equipment out. Some of that was borrowed, and from Motlow and the others, give them the equipment. It will also have us upgrade the equipment at Oakland High School, Advanced Manufacturing. Add the Siemens certification also, which is very good for students. You get that Siemens 1 certification because they can go on with that to 2 or 3, even through MTSU if they want to go with a 4-year degree, or go to Motlow or something, to get that Siemens 2. And so that'll be in place for that equipment. And then the other was, again, something to enhance really at all of the schools for health science. So that was a very good one.
What kind of equipment's in the vocational equipment?
It's robotics. If you've ever been to Oakland, you went, kind of what I'm talking about. Swan Drugs is using that at night, some now and all. And we have some good corporate partners, and it's just been, there's a very big shortage. Nissan and others look all across the country for people to do this. Let me take B also. Would you want to do that one? Goes with that one? This is an unassigned fund balance transfer to Committee for Education for Rockville High. This amendment transfers $2,500,000 from the General Purpose School Fund, unassigned fund balance, account 39,000 to account 34,655, Committee for Education for Rockville High operating cost in the General Purpose School Fund. The board and commission will be able to appropriate these funds in the 2019-20 budget towards the additional operating costs we incur with the opening of Rockville High School. And we did say this, I think, the other night at Budget and Finance, am I right, Mr. And we kind of floated it up. What do you think of doing this? We have some estimates now, probably $5 million, that first year kind of opening where you have to staff everything up and all. Of course, it's continuing, but it certainly is kind of tough, especially that first year. So if we could get $2.5 million for 2 years in a row, we basically may not take such an increase to open the Rockville High School. So we're asking to create a special account, which I don't think we've done before, for this one initial for $2,500,000 from General Purpose School Fund unassigned fund to balance, account 3,900 to 34,655 Committee for Education, in order to help fund Rockville High operating costs in the 2019-20 General Purpose School Fund budget. We're just saying we're going to set this aside and not be tempted to stick it somewhere else. That's
It's
kind of
money
what you're doing.
spoken for, yeah.
Right. That's all of one. You want to cover two also, or you want to do your motions or what?
Yeah, let's just do them separately.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody, more questions on either A or B? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we do make the amendment to the general purpose school budget, the $556,301, and to amend the $2,500,000 from the general purpose school fund for the Rockville High School.
I'll second that.
Third that.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes. Okay.
Number two is something you deal with annually pretty much. If a project's not completed by June 30th, we have to roll it over. And so this is your capital projects budget. This year there are 4 carryover projects from 2016-17 capital projects fund budget 177, which were not completed as of June 30th. And these projects total $1,197,556, and it is essential office flooring. We changed carpet out there. This is our, what, 20th year?
Yes, sir.
And
It
so
was 20 years old.
it was 20 years old. It is.
I felt like it was a new building.
And so it's been 20 years since the carpet was changed, so we did change out carpet. Playground equipment replacement, Laverne Primary, $223,016. Roof replacement repairs at Riverdale, $653,818. And high school track maintenance repair at Smyrna High, $156,433. Mr. Clardy has a rotating schedule to get back to the tracks and to try to do some each year, you know, as we go through all of the high schools. So each year, these outstanding purchase orders, again, they're liquidated on June 30th. So what we're asking you to do, again, is to rebudget these projects so they can be finished. The opening fund balance for this fund is $4,215,222, and it will be $3,017,666 after the amendment. Recommended motion was to amend $1,197,566 from Fund 177, Account 34,685, Committee for Capital Projects, and to increase the budget for maintenance repair service, $91,303.35 by $1,197,556 in order to rebudget incompleted 2016-17 projects so they can be finished.
Any questions on that?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Reed?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Don, on the Christiana school that the roof got torn off, have we got it completely fixed?
We do?
Somebody was complaining to me the other day that it was leaking.
I haven't heard that. I'll ask
And
Mr.
I said,
Clardy.
have you called the school system?
No,
told the
they
principal.
came out and did, you know, the emergency repairs, but over the summer it was re-roofed and stuff. And we were really fortunate, as much water was inside, not to lose a lot of computer equipment. It was really kind of amazing, I
The
thought.
whole thing was
Oh, it was.
amazing.
But I haven't heard that. We'll check and see.
I don't remember now who it was, where I was that they was telling me that. I just
We'll
haven't.
find out. See.
Got a question on, actually 3 questions. One, Rocky Fork Middle. Has Smyrna given any indication on when they might get some turn lanes in out there? Because that seems, I mean, you know, it's a
No.
narrow road.
Have you heard
Haven't talked-
anything?
mm-mm.
I haven't, not directly to me. Have you heard anything?
Yes, sir,
I haven't
I
heard
haven't.
Gary talk about it. Because we talked about it some ahead of time, and especially when you get to elementary out there, it'll really be
Well, I mean, there needs to be turn lanes there now,
Right.
period. I mean, that's
a
just,
two-lane highway.
yeah, it's a 2-lane highway with no shoulder. So, the other is Smyrna Middle. How is that coming? I noticed it's coming, but slow.
It is. What happened, one unusual summer,
Right,
and so
I
when
understand that
they would
part.
get it compacted, we
It
did
would
not
rain.
we did not bid shot rock, so they had to come back and start it and do it again. So Mr. Clardy is basically saying probably he's going to need to just spec shot rock when we do this. That ups your cost some, just trying to save a little money, but in this case it's delayed us. Of course, the nice thing about that, you're not involved in a rezoning. We were thinking not to around
Well,
the first
I
of
mean,
the year
Rocky Fork
anyway.
Middle obviously pulled a lot of
It did.
pressure away from Smyrna Middle.
That's helped them some in that respect. So it was primarily the
So we're
compaction of
looking
the soil.
maybe the first of the year for,
That was kind of the deadline. It may go a little bit longer, you know, but it's the nice thing, you can move kids within the building to the new area, and with the lunch area and all, that'll be be a good thing. But
the third thing, I helped out here a couple of years ago at Stewart Creek High School, the goose problem. It's gotten to be,
they're back, aren't they?
they are back, and they are back with a vengeance. We walked back there. Unfortunately, they produce a product called Goose Poupée, and I counted right in front of the school 54 geese, right in front of the entrance to Stewart Creek High School last night. As we walked back there, got the school connected with, it was an interesting venture. Found out that TWRA doesn't have anything to do with geese.
Yeah, we invited them
It's,
out.
so, you know, when we put them in contact, it's the U.S. Department of Agriculture. But I think we may need to follow up something because it's becoming more so than just an inconvenience. 54, you know, 10 or 12 is a nuisance. 54 is getting to be a problem, I think, from the amount of stuff that they leave. We might have had Ms. Garrett speak on that, but that's another thing you might want to take a look at.
Being a migratory bird, it kind of raises it to another level there. Although the ones around here kind of stay between Percy.
They seem to
They
come
don't
back.
make
They quit migrating.
I know they have,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah,
We
they
passed an ordinance no more than 12 geese anytime.
we can, unfortunately, like I said, and I actually spent a day in Nashville trying to find the proper people here about 3 years ago. And it turned out to be an obscure office with the USDA out in Madison or somewhere or another. But I think we probably need to, they said they can relocate. I think we may be getting to the point where we need to relocate.
They have to shoot that net over them and capture
Right.
it. I don't know whether they come back or not.
They said 10 or 12 were kind of a nuisance, and 15 or 20. But a lot of times they're not in front of the school. They're out there on the football field or the practice field, destroying it. So we'll be into appropriations for maintenance.
I was really surprised the other day when the Japanese visitors, I was there when they came through. They were really surprised at ag program and stuff. People from up north, other places come in and can't believe we have animals at school. And you have that veterinary program down there, which is really large,
great.
you know, and the others, and goats, chickens down there, and that sort of thing.
And geese, apparently.
And geese. Although they're not,
That wasn't the point.
we need to get them in the program somewhere. Yeah.
Do wildlife.
Culinary arts, maybe.
Louis.
Creative.
He's gonna get phone calls.
Even those 6 and 8 foot high fences don't seem to contain them.
No,
So they're still protected even with the quantities we've got?
I don't know.
I mean, as
how
far as
much
us
it is.
going out there and doing something with them,
Yes, yes.
not unless you want
Yeah.
to
Get
end up
this,
over
this ag department.
Yes, we need to refer this to U.S. Department of
Yes,
Agriculture.
okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes, they're still protected.
I have something I'd like to share with you, Madam Chair, if it's okay with the committee. It's we've been doing an exit survey that you want to do, because I think it's a compliment to Walker County, and I just think it would be kind of interesting for you to take a look at some things that's important. I don't spend a lot of time with this. This is kind of your bedtime reading. The survey is a little bit longer than this. I cut down kind of the things that might pertain to you because we have some other questions about internal things we do. This is an anonymous survey. We didn't start it till late in the year, basically, and so there's 266 respondents here, but again, they don't always answer every question. You know, they may choose to leave some out or something since it's anonymous. But as you see there from the teacher side, 79.3%, and the other classified 20.7%, so that's kind of how the division was on this survey. But one of the main reasons you kind of look at what influences your decision to leave, a quarter of the people, 24.8%, is a better opportunity. So it kind of goes in with the competitiveness, and I was mentioned to the mayor before the start of the meeting, that one of the things you see with kind of the millennial generation and some of those little, they don't mind moving. You know, they'll give it a try or try something else. Very different than it was 20 years ago or something like that. But you can see the reasons leaving there, but it's kind of interesting to see why people go. But in the salary thing, and if you take a look at that, extremely somewhat neutral, I really focus more on the people that are either somewhat dissatisfied or extremely dissatisfied. A neutral person is not, it's not a big issue with them. You know, that's the way I look at that. So you basically had only 12.8% would really express some level of dissatisfaction with the salary. So that's a pretty good thing when you stop and look at it. How about their working condition? Basically, 84% said it was okay with that when you stop and kind of add those numbers up. one of the things that I think Rutherford County Schools prides itself in is professional development. When you get those new teachers, when you get people in here, what do you do to make them the best they can be? And, you know, we have our fall July conference, which comes in, and we have had over 1,000 attend this year for that. We're only one in the state that has one that large, and one of the few in the country that bring our people in to do that, and bring in national presenters. And about 49.6 or about 50% were extremely satisfied with professional development. You only had 8.7%. In other words, over 90% felt that professional development was good for us, which is good to know that and kind of get that back from people who are leaving you know. And I wanted to show this one to you as committee too, because this comes up. How about our health benefits? How about the insurance program we have for our teachers and all? And one of the things, I've been to all of our 5 new teacher orientations. And one of the things that I stress them, because a lot of these people are straight out of college, they haven't thought about much, and things like that. Rutherford County has a good insurance program, and they don't always put the dollars and cents to that. And I talk about, well, if your spouse is not insured, then we're still paying over 80%. I just dare you to find another system that does more than 50 or 60%. I mean, it is, but it's appreciated, and that's why I said this. So. In the health benefits, over 90% again were either satisfied or it wasn't an issue for them. Is it neutral? So I think that's a compliment to us again that people that's leaving us recognize that health benefits was a good thing for us to do, to take a look at. Another, there's central office support. That's kind of mine, to house my central office, and you can kind of see that there, 5.6 and 1.9. So we have good people in the central office, and and the people out in the building appreciate it. But here's another interesting thing that I find really is the last page. And again, I'll leave this to y'all to kind of read or ask questions if you want. Are you going to another school system or not? I did not believe that 42.4% were actually going to another school system. They're kind of satisfied with salary. They kind of like the health benefit. They were getting their support. They're getting professional development. But over 40% are going somewhere else. And you can kind of look back over on the front side with what influences their decision to leave and doing that. And again, I've talked with a lot of people, and I just find, even from some of my employees and their own children, say, well, they just decided to go somewhere else. Well, let's go try this a while. And it's just a different kind of generation at a time. But that number surprised me. I did not think it would be that large.
On a positive note, looking at it from a positive standpoint, or looking at it somewhat differently, 60% are just getting out, apparently.
There are better opportunities not in education.
Yeah, and not in education. So 60%, that's what I really worry about, is that it's not whether they're going to another school system or not, because a lot of people, I know people who get employed in Davidson County, who are employed in Wilson County, who are employed in Williamson County, and if they can, I know people who live in those who are employed in Rutherford County, and if they get an opportunity to not, especially with traffic become what it has in the last few years, if they can get an opportunity to work close to the same thing in the same occupation, only a few miles from home, they're normally going to take it. So I'm not really worried about those people leaving. I'm really concerned that has nothing to do with the Rutherford County schools, but 60% of teachers that leave are getting out, leaving the profession. It's kind of like in the medical community a lot right now. I mean, a lot of doctors are taking early retirement and getting out. That's the reason we have a doctor shortage and so on.
CNN released a story yesterday, which was online, about the teacher shortage across the United States. And if you really want to read up on it and what's being said, it has a graph, and it shows how many people 10 years ago, how many were going into education, how many are even choosing education now. The teacher shortage is not going away. In fact, it's going to get more pronounced. And certainly in the major areas which you're talking about, such as sometimes our math, our sciences, where they're a little bit easier for them maybe to move in some of those other areas. We have difficulty sometimes finding CTE teachers. Tennessee could do some things to help. To get somebody to do auto mechanics or somebody to do construction or something. They're typically not people with a college degree, but very often it's somebody that's, I'm kind of ready to slow down. I've always kind of wanted to teach. I'd like to give it a try. But then they turn around and Tennessee tells them, well, you're going to have to go to MTSU on your own monies and get 18 more hours of, and I don't know why we don't do on-the-job training, why we don't allow some of this for licensure and all. So there are some obstacles in place that could be dealt with if the state would kind of deal with it.
would agree there.
What I hear
It's an
from
issue.
teachers, there's too much paperwork. They don't
It
have
is.
the time to teach
It is.
because that's one of the reasons they're leaving the profession of teaching and going somewhere else is because too much paperwork. I think that should be rethought of.
I agree with you.
But how can we get it done?
The last question, I think, is really one of the best that I see. Would you consider Rutherford County employment again? You know, when you take a look at that, 88%, either yes, maybe, or no. If you add your yes and maybes, you got 88% of people, yeah, I would. So they're not leaving with bad feelings. And again, this survey includes people that were released, along with people who, and you can kind of tell when you get one of those because it's the last choice all the way down sometimes.
Have you got any of these from previous years to compare?
No,
or
we
trending
did.
in
We
a certain
started
direction?
this. We started
Because
this.
I would think a lot of it just has to do with the mindset of people today. I wonder how people jump out of whatever profession, because people don't go become a banker or an insurance salesman or whatever for 40 years.
Right.
People get bored and they change. And some of this takes, you know, an education of, but that still doesn't stop people. You know, like you alluded to, I don't think we're going to look back 10 or 20 years now and see as many 35-year career math teachers. They're going to do it for 10 years. Go try something else.
Well, they say now that a graduate may have 4 to 5, I hear different numbers, they're from 4 to 5 to 8 to 10, totally different occupations in a lifetime. And that's just
And that
amazing numbers.
it probably isn't a reflection on the school system at all. That's just what somebody's going to do. They want to live.
I know.
You know, they want to try new experiences and all, you know. I wasn't raised that way. You know, I mean, but that's the way it is.
You weren't given a choice where you were.
Another thing, the way they have to go about employment was a whole lot different from what it was when we were in school, in high school, and college for employment. A friend of mine just got laid off because they were downsizing. I think the company's going out of business. 36 years, the only job she's ever had, and she's deaf. And she's having a hard time finding another job.
Can she teach math or science? They can.
She'd walk in and get it out real quick.
And she's gone to seminars to learn how to present herself for a job. She said one of the questions, they said, tell me something about yourself. She said, I didn't know what they meant by it. They wanted to know about her job that she'd done before, not about herself. So,
I shared this with another one of your departments. It's a rather large department, and they called us, and they're going to take a look at, maybe they would have different questions in some instances to look at. But it doesn't hurt to throw it out there and see what people think about how we're doing it once in a while. That's the way
So
you get
it's going to
better.
become a standard, and
It is.
the way you can
We've got a new one.
do a trend analysis as time goes.
26 since August 1st. We started again, broke it, started August 1st, 26. We changed a few little questions in there, also going to determine a little bit better at what year, how much experience they're leaving. We try to kind of narrow that down a little bit too. But I just thought it was very good for you to know that when we do maintain some salaries and some insurance and all, they are noticing that. They still may, like you say, move, but they are noticing and appreciating that. That's kind of good to know.
I want to congratulate you on this survey. I think these are excellent numbers, and I think it's a direct reflection of your leadership and the guidance you've given this committee as well. I do.
But you approve the budgets and you do it too. I mean, you're part of it. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
It's very impressive.
I think you'll see more and more of this because I remember when I went to school, everybody had the same teacher since the beginning of time, I think. I mean, I know my brothers and sisters had the same teacher I had all the way through, but today, that's just the world and what we live there. I've started listening to OAN on television rather than Fox and some of these others. don't know how many of you have ever listened to that, One American News. And it's not a this side or that side, it's down the middle. And it deals with all of it, and it'll give both sides and what it does. And it's been telling some of these figures about the workers today, is that they're not afraid to step out and say, hey, I'm gonna try something else over here. And I think you'll see more and more of this right there, where I know when I found the job, my parents said, get that job and stay with it. And I did. 44 years I stayed there because they were happy, I was happy, and everybody was fine. But today you've got those who look at it and say, hey, that looks interesting. I may want to go there and try that.
You're right.
And you got teachers that,
Yes.
they
Yes.
teach this. I mean, they're up there and say, if you see something that you want to grab a hold of, go ahead and get that. And so they're taking their own advice, I guess, on what you're doing. This is good.
I won't take too
information.
much of your time.
No, I think it's
Today, we're about 1,300 up. It's as you find out where people are gone, it's adjust a little. And it's 1,300 over the end of the first month. Last year, first month is 20 days of schooling. So it's somewhere around in that 1,300, but
That's a new
over a little
school.
between 2.9 and 3%.
It's a new
So
school.
in that one,
That's
so
a new school.
that's kind of where we are. It will not change, and that gives us 44,920 something, I think, students.
We've been talking about that 2.5%, 3% range.
It stayed
Except
that
for
way.
during the downturn, which it didn't dry up completely ever since I've been here. And the problem with that is our baseline's getting higher.
True.
It used to be 3% of 30,000 students, now we're 3% of 44, 45,000 students, so that number's snowballing on us.
Well, I've been working on some numbers, and we had, in an 18-year period from the 90-91 school year through 07-08, we doubled. We were 5 short of doubling, but we essentially doubled in that period. Our average growth in that period was 4.13%. It's dropped more to, in the next 10 years, it's dropped more to a tad over 2, but it's creeping slowly back up. Yeah.
What
You got
about,
the downturn in the middle
Yes.
of
what about the traffic that you're seeing at the schools? I noticed, I'm still here, of course, from Rockville out there, what we've got going there. And I've gotten into some of that, and it seems like it's longer.
One of the problems you run into at this time of year, kindergarten's really starting full-time. They are kind of screened, tested, put in. The state has that screening. They're full-time now. But just my experience over the years has been that after sometimes 3 weeks, a month, a lot of moms say, well, maybe you could ride the bus. And so you begin to see some of that. But that traffic pattern is an impact on us too, because it delays the buses and the transportation too. So you find yourself, more buses are running 2 routes, more kids are getting home later. It also ultimately can force you to have to add bus routes at an additional cost just to, we're limited to an hour and a half transportation by state law. And so all of that begins to play in it. So as we get more congested, that alone will cost more money. I mean, that's just the nature of the game. But I don't have a good answer for that. Of course, at Rockvale, there's several changes, and they're mobilizing for the high school out there. I was by it today, and we do have to make changes in the road there.
Yeah.
In that one, add additional lanes and that sort of thing.
Because that one out there this time, I know from the middle school back towards Veterans, has been back from there to Veterans.
True.
And then the other directions, it's been all the way back past Rockville Meadows.
It's happening on 96 towards Las Casas the other day too. Sometimes
You can pick
4 miles, anywhere you want to go.
That's what-
It's every
Yeah.
last
That's
guess.
been my answer. I said, well, anywhere you want to go in the county, it's being like this.
We staggered the times, again, we usually.
But you'll have more people that are not necessarily going to school that's adding into this traffic too.
True.
On that note, I will give you a compliment that I heard recently about how smoothly Stewart's Creek was to get in and out of. I had a parent who was recently taking their child there for middle school, and he said, I really expected with all 3 schools to be there that it was going to just be a nightmare getting in and out. And he said they've done a really good job in staggering those times.
That amazed me. That school, that had, with the 3 there and the number of students there, because you were, let's say, 2,100 and 800, close to 4,000 kids. And that 30 minutes apart,
It's
it's
a
work.
flow.
I mean, just
It's a
really-
steady flow. You've got a little window. We went out today early, my wife did, and I said, you know, you need to get out this window. There are windows, you have a slew of people, a 10-minute break, another group of people, a 10-minute break, and another group of people, but it all flows very well. I mean, it backs up, but it flows.
If over on Thompson Lane, where there's the city school plus the middle and high school, the Siegel schools, it's about 45 minutes in the morning, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's the worst of it. And it's fine the rest of the time, so it's not as bad as everybody.
A little bit at Oakland too, you got John Pittard and Oakland Middle and Oakland High. Some of that same situation.
There was an article in the paper about maybe expanding the magnet program. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? So what the conversation is?
And we're looking at that. Also, we have to do the 5-year building plan. The board will consider it in October. What we're doing right now, as I told Ms. Cook, we're really looking at which schools grew by how much, what the percentages are, do we have capacity anywhere, what we're going to do. So it's a matter of, one of your problems with the magnet, do you build a building or try to repurpose it? There's not a good building in Smyrna to repurpose. You know, some talk about Thurman Francis, but I don't know how you would park them if it were a high school, you know, just, so I mean, there are real issues.
So we own that
related to
field behind the school
You do, but then you got the electric, you got the
Right,
power.
right. Station, substation.
Yeah, all the substation there with that. So, I mean, it's not an easy answer. The central worked out pretty well, basically, in that case, because we built the 2 middle schools
That's
at
the
the same
silver
time.
bullet to the magnet schools. It brings these schools nobody wants to go to and makes them most desirable, so.
It does. That's what Nashville does, too.
I would hope we would make that part of the system, to pick a school that's not necessarily, I mean, I would have said at one point in time, John Coleman's new now, you know, or something like that, because I'd hope we wouldn't go out and build a brand new school and then turn that into a magnet, because nobody wanted to go to Central forever. I went to Central, nobody wanted to go there when I went, you know, and, but now they're fighting to get in there, and McFadden's the
Yes, a
same
long
way.
way to-
It's not the structure, you know, it's the curriculum.
Yeah.
Yeah, those programs have been so successessful. So yeah, the idea of adding that would be win-win for the old buildings and to
Just
add
take
that
your
program.
extra portables, stack them in a lot, and they'll they know how to
Let them fight
get
over
it.
the portable.
Oh,
All right.
tornado drills are fun when you have that.
We voted on the report, we're good.
Anything else?
Anything else? Any other business for this committee? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.